everybody, welcome! It is time to gather around the hearth and discuss this week's topic of intrigue. I am, of course, joined by my good friends Emily Floyd and Christopher Gravenstein, and this week we will be discussing D&D classes, favorites versus flops. How's everybody doing this week?
Doing fantastic. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll believe that.
Better believe it.
You better believe it.
Easily best week of my life.
Wow. That's pretty. That's
big.
Saying something, my dude. Well, how did you like my Survivor intro?
I wouldn't
what?
know.
Are you?
There's a.
Do I need to be a Survivor fan to understand what about the intro was Survivor in nature?
Yeah,
No, it
no
just
idea.
felt to me like a good there was there's like a tagline flops versus favorites.
Oh,
you know?
I see.
Title of episode.
All right, they hate it. Moving on.
No.
So,
10 out of 10. And Richmond comes up with the best of, and I fully feel that with my heart.
10 out of 10. Subscribe. Amazing. Well, today we're playing fast and loose. Normally I come in here with a lot of questions about our topic and ready to guide conversation. But today I think people are in for a battle. A battle of sorts.
It's not going to be pretty.
Bands perchance. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary to hear
No.
from you. Emily's like, I'm not holding back. Frankly, I have been for weeks. But now...
Now, no, you can't expect me to hold back, given the topic at hand.
So the structure of today's ep, I think, is going to be where each of us discusses, you're going to get, a couple of minutes basically to present what you love about a particular class. And then we will find out if that class is indeed also a flop to somebody else. And then I guess chat, the Thunderdome will decide who is right and who is wrong. And it will mean absolutely nothing except that it was a fun conversation. And if you don't agree with us, live your life. That's basically it. That is basically it. Is we're just going to be talking about what we like about things and what honestly just doesn't interest us about other classes. So we'll start with favorites, or do you want to start with flops?
Well, here's the thing. Though maybe we should have workshopped the format a little bit. Are we doing each of our favorites or flops, or are we presenting our individual comparisons?
Yeah. Are we presenting a case for these arguments?
I guess I thought. I had thought
it's your channel, Anne. It's your world. We're just
Here,
living in it.
Allow me. May I?
Yeah. What do you think? Please take us away,
Never mind.
Dungeon Master Chris.
It's
your channel. Chris is like, if I may.
Listen, if no one has any idea what's going on, I'm just gonna come up with an idea.
Yeah. No, as the white male here is.
God damn it!
It comes back to it.
I spent 4 weeks just sitting here being nice and subdued,
earning your good graces.
earning my good graces, and then the second I speak up, they're like, "Shut up! You've spoken."
You never let us talk. No.
Even in a show with more women, you still manage to talk more than both of us combined.
No, that is not anything that I think. I'm just giving you shit, please.
So I will say this. This is what I will say. So I think that maybe we should frame this around how well we think that each class really carves out its, because I think the most important thing is class identity, right? Like, what makes you feel cool when you play that class? What makes it unique versus other classes, in your opinion, right? And how is it empowering to be that class that versus being another class that could essentially do the same job but better, right? Because it's not really a game. It's not really a game that's designed. And maybe it is, but at least not for me. It's not a game designed around picking a class based on what does X the best. You know what I mean? I'm not min-maxing. Right. I'm just playing something because I like the sense of class identity. And I like the flavor of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately in discussing flops versus favorites, we could be like, what's your favorite ranged striker? What's your least favorite? And go through it that way instead of just...
No, we came here for a reason, and the reason was favorites versus
Versus.
flops.
Emily, you have a strong opinion, so tell us what your flop is. Otherwise, you'll explode.
I think we should start where things are going to be most heated.
Oh wow. Okay.
And do you have a piece of paper and a writing utensil near your person?
I can have those things.
I vote.
What am I doing?
We're all going to write down
and
reveal our respective flops. Here you go. You can use that.
Just the flops.
Just the flop. Just the flop.
All right.
And I get a flop.
Here you go. This is going to be easier to see.
Oh, okay.
And chat,
so
I would encourage anyone in chat to go ahead and type. Don't hit enter, but like type up that flop.
Up your flop.
Yeah,
yes,
these
we're
are
talking
classes
about
in
D&D
5e.
classes.
Mhm.
So we're each writing down our least favorite class. Right?
Yes.
And then we're going to reveal.
Mhm.
That's a controversial pick.
All right.
Mine is also, honestly.
Mine is going to be very popular.
Is
Mm.
it?
No.
I don't like that.
Wow. And what class? I don't remember any classes that take this long.
There's no classes that have more than 7 letters in them.
And it didn't. Okay, here's the thing. I was trying to make it look. Let me do it again. I'll do it again.
Mhm. Wait, why do you have to do it
ran out of room on the
again?
paper.
How did you run out of room on the paper? It's 7 letters.
Because I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to. You know what? Just sit down. This is my channel, and I'm gonna take as long as I want
Oh boy.
to write a word.
It's your channel. We're just living in it.
Yeah.
While Anne writes, I want to fill in here for the folks who are listening to this.
She's so fucking boring. She can't even.
And
hold their
doesn't know how to fill
attention.
space. That's all I know.
No,
Shut up.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
just fill in for the folks that are listening to this in the future as a podcast to apologize for choosing a visual implement in this conversation without thinking about the fact that you won't be able to hear what we're holding up, but it will only be a moment of like
It's fine.
half a second of
Yeah.
suspense, I assure you.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we ready?
All right. I'm ready.
Okay,
Reveal
everybody.
in 3, 2, 1. Emily, you're fired. Get out. You are out of the band. All right. And Shaitan says, Paladin, you are also out
Ranger.
of the band.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like that's second place.
What,
worst.
Ranger?
Paladin.
Oh, Paladin. Yeah.
Yeah. And Know-It-All says Ranger. And Know-It-All said he originally said earlier that he was going to disagree with me just on principle, which I understand and can respect. But now you see what I'm dealing with? Explain yourself, Emily Floyd.
All right, listen. My favorite versus flop selections today are really going to be support focused because that is what I enjoy playing in a role-playing game. Healing.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Did we say that you held up Bard? I don't think we
said them out
held
loud.
up.
She held up
Yes,
Bard.
I
Yeah,
held up Bard.
So, which is incorrect, but we're gonna let her talk about
Bard
it.
is
And
my
Chris
choice.
held up,
I held up Wizard.
and I, as Anne Richmond, the arbiter of all things true, held up Fighter. All right, Emily, continue. Tell
Arguable.
us how wrong you are about bards.
So here's the deal. As I was saying, I'm very focused on the support abilities of a class, and Bard. I think the reason why Bard falls so low on the totem pole for me is that it makes so many promises. Like it has such potential. When you think about a Bard, especially when you're a person who loves performing or talking, like if you're the kind of person who's really drawn toward being a very charismatic and performative individual,
Sure.
Bard sounds magical. Like, I get to use my words to, cast magic. I get to play an instrument. It's such a flavorful class. It's so unlike anything that I've thought about
Mhm.
before I ever played D&D. Like so marvelous, right? And then you sit down for your first session of Bard and you go, okay, I guess I will I'll stab that thing with my rapier a little bit. And then, cool. Next, I will cast my singular cantrip. Like I'm hyperbolizing, and I'll admit that I'm never the kind of person who knows classes so intimately as to really like super memorize what their kits are like. But that being said, I have tried to play a bard on like 4 or 5 different occasions because the flavor of it sounds so great, and I like that. I love a flavorful, charismatic class that lets me participate in combat in a way that supports my allies. And I am told when you get to a certain level, you can actually live that dream. I just have yet to ever
But I've never gotten there.
see it. And I think like at the end of the day, I can build a character that is performative or fun or charismatic and also gets to like cast a bunch of awesome shit or legitimately heal the people in my party. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just better off with like a different class that has a loot. I don't know. I've never gotten into it.
Yeah, like all the arguments in the chat are like, yeah, they're great at this point. So you want me to watch 5 seasons of a show before it gets good? No thanks.
Yeah, you want me to watch all of original Doctor Who before I get to have an opinion? I will tell you, Emily, that listening to you talk about bards I was like, wow, that's how my mother used to talk about me, that I was
Wow.
so much potential and
Excuse
promise. And now,
But instead, all you do is
Such a
cast
shithole.
vicious mockery. You still, to this day,
Literally.
cast it on your mother.
why can't you be serious? Yeah, I literally to this moment casting vicious mockery on my mother. And you know what? That's my cross to bear. Okay, Emily, I'm gonna let you have that as your opinion. I am kind of on Team Psy here, but it does depend on what you want from a class. So the only thing I'm going to say, because spoilers, I am the head bard in charge, and Richmond, here on this channel. And my favorite class is bard. And so when we get to favorites, I'll talk about that, #spoilers. But the one thing that I would give you pushback on is that it depends on what your expectations are. Because being the person who there's nothing better at a lower level, because the rolls and the DCs are so tight, because people don't have a lot of rerolls and bonuses and things that they can use to modify their rolls. So the thing that's great at lower levels is being the person that is the difference maker. If you use cutting words to make the person be missed by an attack instead of be hit by an attack, if you use inspiration to make sure that clutch move that somebody else wants to pull off hits, like that is a very exciting and interesting to me. But it's also based on chance, which means you may never get to feel that for sure. And there are other classes that have more tangible receipts, we'll say, earlier on. So I totally can understand why you would feel that way, even if I don't entirely agree. Christopher? No, sorry, Emily, did you have a response?
No, I was just going to summarize my point by saying it always seems like it will be the most exciting class to play. And to me, it is always the most boring. And
Well, you're not doing it right.
and the
No.
things that I can do to make a character exciting, I could do for any other class and feel I have more to contribute.
Sure. I also think that it depends on people's expectations of what your bard is. Because if people are coming in being like, hey, tell us a joke, bard. Hey, bard, are you going to go seduce that guy? Like, then it gets really old to be the bard, because they're playing your character for you in their minds.
Yeah.
And then you just feel like you're not living up to them. And the best thing I ever did was play a bard who was expressly designed to be not those things, or to flip those expectations on their head. And that kind of freed me from that weird, weighty concept that is always kind of, the stereotype that's drawing you forward. I think the same can be said of Paladin as well. I was talking to someone earlier today about, there's an expectation of how that class is going to be role played. And Warlock too. We ran into a situation in one of our earlier games where I was like, but I haven't done anything mean or terrible to anyone. And there were people in our party when we were playing with some other folks back in the day who were like, no, you're clearly a warlock and therefore the devil has your soul. And I was like, wait,
But
I didn't do any of this.
I just like the necromantic arts.
I like stars, all of them. Chris.
Yes.
Take it away. Tell us what you think.
It's interesting. Because hearing Emily say that and seeing some people in the chat, I think my problem with Wizard has a similar thing where they are sort of a jack of all trades and master of none. But I think that my biggest problem, like, I love Wizards as a concept. I want to play a Wizard all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use my knowledge and study to wield the arcane arts to shape the reality around me and hurl giant fireballs. Who doesn't want to do that? But the problem is that out of the box, I feel as though Wizards don't have the support to do any of the things that they're designed to do well enough to not just play a different class if you want that thing. Like, this might have changed because we have so much additional content that I'm not entirely studied up on. But, like, player's handbook, new player, you're like, okay, I want to be wizard. I want to be a necromancer. I want to live that fantasy of what I know a necromancer to be from other fantasy things. There's like 3 necromancy spells. And none of them involve raising skeletons to fight alongside of you.
Yeah.
Like, why are you going to create, why are all the specs for Wizard like School of Illusion and School of Conjuration and School of Necromancy when there's no spells to support that whatsoever? You can't be a good wizard unless you dip your toe into every school, and then it sort of robs you of that sort of identity of, like, I'm a conjuration wizard and I want to do that magic because that's cool. But no, I have to hurl fireballs if I want to be effective. And so that irks me in a big way. And then they don't have anything else to really support that. You do that one thing well, and you kind of have to do it the way the book is telling you to do it, or you're just going to be sort of super substandard. And it sort of robs you. Be like, I'm level 2, and I have 6 HP, I have 11 AC, and I can't do any of the things, and I can't even cast a good necromancy spell. So what exactly am I? I'm just a squishy baby.
You're a liability in the beginning.
Exactly.
And it's basically everybody else's job to protect you so that you can try to be helpful until you get to a point where you learn how deadly you can be and how death-defying you must be in order to survive.
And, like, casting time stop and casting 8 spells in a turn, like, all that stuff is cool. But the thing is that the typical D&D experience doesn't exist past level 10. It does not.
Yeah.
And so if you say a class gets cool, like 8+, 10+, then it's not a good, well-designed class at all. And
well, I think the other thing is, and something you pointed out that's really, really important and a reason to check out Unearthed Arcana and all that other stuff, is that if all you're doing is looking at the player's handbook, like vanilla, player's handbook, all of these classes are going to have very limited options, and time is the best teacher, especially for designers.
Yeah.
So being able to create these other subclasses and releasing them in different books or creating new schools of magic, like, that allows you sometimes to return to a class. These flops. Yeah. I don't think anybody's accusing us of being, like, wrong or offensive, but I do think it's important to note that, like, these flops can easily be turned around and be favorites for somebody.
I mean, it's just like any video game where, like, you're going to experience nerfs and buffs to your favorite character or class constantly. And Wizards might be on the up and up, but traditionally, Wizards have really failed to capture a sense of class identity that makes me feel impactful in a game that is designed to make me feel like Gandalf or Aragorn, right? So, and for that reason alone, I feel as though Wizard is a flop.
Chris, Emily, do you disagree?
I have played Wizard a fair amount of times. I actually, while I like playing Wizards, I would agree wholeheartedly with that concept of, it feels like the class is designed for you to want to lean into that school of magic of choice, but at the end of the day, you've got to pick from all of them, and it feels like that portion of the flavor gets kind of muddied. I haven't played it with, a lot of folks are saying that, like, the stuff that came out with Tasha has made some big improvements, and I haven't messed around with that. But I don't disagree with any of Chris's points. But for the sake of
Yeah.
drama, I'm saying no, Bard is the worst class, and you're all making perfectly poignant arguments in the chat, and I don't care. For the sake of drama, I am leaning in Bard.
We're gonna make class
that's just what a
pins,
bard would
right?
do.
We're gonna make class pins, and you have to buy your favorite pin to support
Yeah,
the war.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
it's true. The class war.
Yikes.
Oh my god.
Oh God, that's terrible. Okay,
Oh, sure is.
so here's the thing about Wizard. I sort of disagree with you, but I do think that it's dependent on your DM realizing.
That was I'm
some
sorry.
of the-
That was
the
a point I really
pitfalls.
wanted to make.
Oh, please.
No.
go ahead.
You just reminded me when I was talking it through with myself earlier. I
Yeah.
realized that a point I wanted to make is that, particularly when you pick any spell, there's so many wizard spells that are at DM's discretion, right?
Mhm.
And so I mean, you already made the point, but yeah, I just wanted to agree that it's
Well,
very table dependent. Because
it's not just that they're at DM's discretion, it's that you can cast anything basically, but you have to be able to find it first, and you have to have the money and the supplies in order to inscribe it into your book. And so if you have a DM that never lets you rest and doesn't remember that you need access to spell scrolls, and you always are forced to buy them, but there's never any time to inscribe them, like, then you're kind of climbing an uphill battle where it's like, why I'm just gonna take a freaking cattail invading the space. I'm just gonna take like a pact with a warlock entity because like I'm so sick of it, you know, at this point.
Yeah,
so yeah, I think one of the best aspects of wizard is how they can prepare for situations. A wizard is all about being prepared. And if you have a DM who doesn't allow for that or realize that it's integral to feeling that the way that class needs to feel wizardy, you know, then it's not going to be fun for you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those are my thoughts on wizards. Now let's talk about fighters. White bread fighter boys. Or girls, or people. I will start off by saying that I think that fighters mechanically are wonderful. I just don't care. Seeing somebody as a fighter doesn't inspire me with story to tell. I don't think this guy is a guy who knew how to be a guy with punching or kicking
I'm hearing
or
you don't like
fighting
Boromir.
with swords.
That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, the thing is, like, I like Boromir, but Boromir came with a backstory. I just don't find it to be that mechanically. I think it's mechanically sound, and fighters kick ass in the beginning. You're just like, why would I be anything else? Because they could just, they're really good at the things and the simple actions that low-level characters are able to take. And so they stand out as, like, this person could be the ultra hero later on, you know, because they are capable of walking up to an orc or a goblin and smashing it. They smash real good. But to me, I just find that they're a little bit bland, depending mechanically later as far as action economy and stuff. Because unless you're like an arcane archer or an eldritch knight, which doesn't actually, it's not as viable as other versions, I guess, if you're like strictly talking about playability when it comes to mechanics and what's the most optimal pick, right? Or the battle master, right? Those three stand out to me as being a little bit more interesting. And certainly, like, Chris played an arcane archer once, and I was just like, excuse me? And I just kept flipping through the book being like, what? How did we get here? And so it's not that I don't think that they can be cool, but that was also an arcane archer that was already level 5 out the box, you know? And so if we're talking about who's interesting at level 1 versus who's interesting at level 5 or level 10, I just don't find them to be that inspiring. And Strange Dawson chat says, fighter is where you really get the chance to make yourself stand out with your story. Lots of people think it's for the munchkins, but you need to have a good story, in my humble opinion. Yeah, I think
Yeah, so you're saying that like out of the box fighters don't have enough flavor to inspire you to
Yeah.
want to make a good one.
But
And-
think about the beauty of the blank canvas that is the fighter. Think about how, without having to lean into the mechanics of your class at all to drive the story, you can literally
Mhm.
take it wherever you want.
True facts. That's why bards are boring.
What annoys me so much about this is that Emily is using bardic tactics to argue that bards aren't cool. And that's not okay, man. You're like, let me cast bardic inspiration on you so that you
And-
can re-roll that opinion.
Have you ever thought about the fact that she's actually just a fighter with a more interesting backstory?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying because like there's literally no reason she can't be a fighter.
I'm just literally so mad right now. So the other reason that this is tough for me, and it kind of falls in the category of several classes, is that when you're a jet, you're a jet all the way. No, when you are a strength-based class, I think it becomes frustrating, especially at those lower levels where the difference between your modifier integers is so important. I think it's a frustrating situation when you're a strength-based class and the only strength-based skills are there's like one.
Yeah, bard can be very alluring
Yeah.
at a low level because it gives you a lot of excuses to roll the dice. Whereas your fighter, you're
Same-
just like,
yeah.
when's the next time I get to punch something? Because it's the only thing
Yeah.
I'm good at.
Exactly. And I think that makes it makes people lean into like, well, I'm just here to, kick ass and take names. Like, it makes you lean into your stereotypical like, I'm just here to brawl type of character. And yes, you can be a dex-based fighter, absolutely. And that, I think, would solve some of those issues. But that is one of the problems I have, that if I were going to be a strength-based character and I wanted to be a melee-based character, it would be just as easy for me to go with Barbarian and have so many cool path options for my subclass that excite me more, right? Or to be a Paladin and have a little bit of magic where I could finally choose between, do I just want to do a bunch of damage and save my spell slots, or do I want to be able to detect magic or cast Sanctuary or throw a heal if I need to, right?
I mean,
So
I always like, it's funny that you have that's your opinion, because like sometimes I just want to be Sokka in a world full of benders, and being able to be a fighter allows me to live that fantasy of like hard work and perseverance paying off in the face of people who can literally throw fireballs,
yeah, no, absolutely. And Fitstrong Fairy Mom, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. It's awesome to see you too. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not that I hold this opinion so strongly that I think
die
that
on this
fighters
hill.
can't be like, I don't need to die on this hill.
The drama.
What?
Lean in.
I'll die on this
Thank
hill,
you.
but only if a fighter is able to smite me.
But only if the sword I fall on is a fighter.
Was that what you were looking for?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I'll die on this hill. I fucking hate fighters.
That's fair. They roll
All
way
right.
too many dice for your, you'd rather roll like 1d4
I mean,
every turn
you-
instead of like that d10, right? You really like those small dice. They're niche, they're the underdogs.
If you
Like-
do
like
a
a
lot
bard.
of damage, like if you really contribute to the fight, then like what's the point? It's so boring to just
mean,
like
you can't
knock
give-
out enemies.
You can't
One
like
by
give bardic
one.
inspiration to yourself. So like you kind of need the fighter.
I'm trying to think of a comeback and I just can't because I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
favorites.
Okay. Fine.
Let's flip it over. Unless there's something else you want to add.
No, fighters are great. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, Strange to Us makes it. Yeah, I guess I'll just wait on this hill for 15 minutes while the fighter decides what to do with their turn and how many attacks they have and their second win.
Well, it's
and-
that classic like I know all of my attacks are basically just swing or whatever, but
Yeah.
I want to do more with my turns. So instead of just coming to terms with the fact that my options are limited, I will stare at my character sheet
Yeah.
and think about it for about 10 minutes, and then maybe
Yeah.
someone else can go.
I will say that like one positive is that when people are new and they're like, I don't know what to do and spells are scary and I just don't know what to choose, I usually tend to recommend Paladin, Fighter, or sometimes Barbarian, because I find that they feel cool at a low level, even if I don't think they offer a ton in terms of inspiration. They're easy to break down in your mind as far as like, what can I do with my turn? So, but I still hate them. They're the worst. Okay, favorites. Emily, go.
Cleric.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's it? You're not going to tell us why?
Well,
I guess we were supposed to show a piece of paper. It's fine.
It's fine.
Chris, reveal.
Monk.
Okay. Both good answers.
Yeah. Okay, and?
Bard. Fucking Bard.
Yeah, we already established that's the worst class.
No. Bard.
All right. I'll bite. Why, pray tell, is Bard the best class?
Okay. 1, the Bard subclasses each feel truly different from each other. So when I played a Bard who was College of Lore and knew everything about everything, that feels totally different from my like David Bowie inspired Feywild mom Bard who has the ability not to know everything but to control the battlefield. So as a glamour bard, I get to use my inspiration either to simply add an inspiration die to somebody, or I can use that charge in order to let everybody move their own speed immediately without provoking attacks of opportunity on the battlefield. So if we get caught in some situation, from level 1, I could just be like, nah, here's some extra hit points or some extra temp hit points and move, right? So for those situations like you were talking about, Emily, of like, I just don't feel like I can help as much as other classes, I think that offers something verily to be desired. I love being the person who's the difference maker. We had a bard in our Avernus game the other day give somebody inspiration that was the difference between us killing a Cambion at a level that doesn't normally have the ability to do that, and that Cambion getting away. Like, we had a cool end of battle moment because a bard was there, and even though all he was doing was casting cutting words and dissonant whispers, like, he was the difference maker in that scenario. I got to keep fighting and keep doing the spells that I like to do as a cleric in that game because he was there and making sure that the people who needed to hit were able to do so, and reducing the winds of chance that can sometimes sway dice rolls one way or the other. And I really love that. And I think somebody said it earlier, I understand that Bard is not a must-have, but it can be a great support class. And for all the reasons that I was saying I wasn't a fan of Fighter, I love that there are a million ways to be a bard. You can be a bard who weaves stories through song. You can be a bard who sits around a campfire and tells you, what I once had an experience like that. Or you can be someone who's working on their next great novel, or, you know, any number of things. There's College of Opera. There's like so many different ways to be a bard. To the extent where I think it can be kind of challenging to uncreative people. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible. To fill that space, because it is inviting you to be large and confident in some way, right? It's inviting you to be what would be the word? It's like when a kid is really good at something, like not a savant.
Prodigy?
A prodigy. Yeah, it is asking you to be prodigal in some way, which can be really scary at level 1 when you're like, I'm just a guy, like, or I'm just a person who's out in the world kind of for the first time.
But it's okay, because it all balances out when you're just casting vicious mockery.
I don't know why you do that every time. I don't do that.
For someone who likes bards so much, it's interesting how your perspective of favorites versus flops is based on what the book tells you can do with your character versus using an ability to be creative about who your character is.
Well, I think that that's totally a fair call on your point, but I also think that the inspiration that the opportunity to play a bard gives has clearly inspired a lot of people to design some really cool paths.
Fair.
And I think that that speaks volumes when you have literally like Path of the Undying and Path of the Undead in the same class for Warlock. There's like literally two things to make you feel like a necromancer. That like there's so many varied options. You can be a melee bard, you can be a healing bard, you can be a ranged attacker, and yes, things do get better as the class goes up, but that's true of literally every class, right? You get more options as you level. That's how they're designed. But yeah, I like it, and I like that you're so skilled in so many things, even though you're, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. I like that as a bard, you are able to then be free with your roleplay and not feel like, well, I'm not good at this, so I guess I just won't even try. Which, like, Chris, you're the master at telling people, like, well, you can still roll for it. Like, just try, right? But here, this gives people the confidence to, like, really let their creativity guide them instead of looking at their character sheet and feeling like, ugh, I'm limited. I'm limited to what I can do. And that might be an Anne Richmond thing. But yeah, that's how I feel. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. For the drama.
Okay, but for real, I'm right though, right?
No, you're wrong because Cleric is the best class.
Yeah, like nobody can hear us though, right?
Yeah.
I just held my hand in front of the camera for those who watch the live show. Nobody can hear us, so I can be right now, right? Okay.
It's not how it works.
It's fine.
Cool.
Because Cleric is the best class, so.
Well, tell us why.
Cleric is the best class because if you are the type of person who wants to support, you want to heal, you want to buff, you want to make the party better, but you don't want to be intensely constrained by the parameters around which your class is written. Cleric, so much to work with. Let's see, you don't have the flavor of the bard that basically, to me, feels, I hear your arguments about how it opens up options for you to lean into character choices. For me, I guess it feels really prescriptive. And then you've got Paladin, which I guess maybe if someone were to lay out a chart of like who had the actual most powerful support, probably someone out there has determined that Paladin is at the top of the list. I don't know, but like, so religious, so boring. And like, I know
clerics are literally people
I know that we've changed things where paladins don't have to be lawful good anymore. Like, I know that that's been switched up, but I mean, like, the cleric sits in that real nice spot in the middle where you can pick like any kind of deity that suits you. You can like literally according to the text, you can be as super into that deity or as not as you want. Like, your abilities are tied to the deity, but it's not like Warlock and granted, I haven't actually played Paladin, so I'm making some gross assumptions here, but there is a flavor to those classes where your tie to your deity is so much more like yes, I will do thy bidding kind of a feeling, and Cleric is sort of like
that, yeah.
You know what, you got close to the sun at least one point in your life, and therefore you're blessed with sparkling energy that you can use to make everybody feel really nice. And there are also a lot of really cool, like in the same argument that you were making for Bard, I feel there are a lot of really cool flavors for Cleric.
I agree.
And it's so interesting because like if you want a little bit of the healy, but you really also just like want to get in there and fight and be good at that, you can be. If you want to basically never swing your sword and just stand in the back and do fun sparkly shit, you 100% can be. And I think we all probably know which one of those two ends of the spectrum I fall on. So I have played Cleric a bunch of different times, and I've even played the same like Cleric subclass on multiple occasions. I'm really, really digging my Twilight Domain Cleric right now. But the fact of the matter is, like, it to me feels incredibly, of the support focused classes. It feels the most versatile, and it feels like I have more of a blank slate style of freedom to take that. The class doesn't necessarily guide the character choices I'm making, but I can use it to enhance the story, as opposed to the class determines what I want my character to be defined as.
Yeah. I think it also has the benefit / trouble, depending on how you look at it, at having to choose your spells every day. But it does mean that you can prepare in the same way a wizard does, and you don't actually have to hunt for shit. You just get access to everything.
Yeah,
but if
or you can play like
that,
lazy like me, where if you have like your favorite spells and you just use them over and over again. Like there's like definitely there's times where I like given what the party is up to, I'll swap something out for this makes a lot more sense in this scenario. But like I go easy mode and I'm like I'm obviously always going to use healing word. Like I think there's just like a couple things where to me that's
your bread and butter.
That's the choice I like. But that's how I play.
Literally the coolest character that anyone ever rolled in any campaign I've ever played was Emily's Archer Cleric. Like she had a trickery. It was trickery, right?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it was like trickery domain, Archer Cleric, and it worked surprisingly well. She still did a lot of damage, and she was just all over the place, and then had all that utility. It was I mean, great.
And that was inspired by the fact that what was the D&D game?
It was Legends, the Legends game, that bad D&D game.
But the cleric in it,
I can't remember what it was called.
Had a bow.
Yeah, it was something.
And I was like,
Legends.
"Ooh, that's cool."
Yeah.
So I literally decided to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love Cleric, and I also play a Twilight Domain Cleric in our Descent into Avernus game, and love it for all the same reasons you do. And one of the biggest ones is that if I end up in melee, I can hold my own, but if I can stay at ranged, I have a glaive, so I can choose to go up, but only within 10 feet, and then back off, and like all sorts of things. And I think that Cleric is, if you're up for complications of like just the burden of choice at level 1, Cleric can be a great starter character, because if somebody doesn't know what they want to do, as far as like, do I want to be in melee? Do I want to like heal? Do I like, you only really have to choose your domain at level 1. Like or is it level 3? It's level 3, right? Or do you have
I think they kick in at level 3. You know what? It's been a while since I did the early classes, but
you have a chance to experiment, and I think that's great with that, and it's also good with Druid for the same reason. So I'm all about it. But for the sake of drama, you're wrong, and I'm right.
No, you're wrong, and I'm right.
Oh, you're both wrong because I'm right.
Oh, tell us why.
Well, I will tell you now. So Monk is the best class, and the reason Monk is the best class. No, so small disclaimer: the most unfortunate thing about Monk is that their character choices from an RP's perspective are a little limited, because it leans so heavily into that Eastern Asian monastic traditions, like Zen monk. But I think over time it has sort of moved away from that. And so I will say that I like monks because they are jack of all trades and master of all. They got action economy. You want to be a tank, you can be a monk. You want to be the Avatar, you can be a monk. You want to be a rogue, you can be a monk. You want to be a fighter, you can be a monk. You want to be Jackie Chan, you can be a monk. You want to be Goku, you can be a monk. So all of these fantasies are capable within this, and at the same time, Monk allows such freedom to just do lots of stuff. Pressing buttons is cool. Rolling dice is cool. It feels empowering. And monks from minute 1 have just lots of granular options for what to do with their time. They can exchange out abilities for other abilities. They get to roll lots of dice. They get multiple attacks. You get to make active choices in every turn about what you want to do with your time. Much like a caster, it's that same sort of thing where it's fighter, cleric, whatever else. You kind of know what you're gonna do once it's your turn, but every time you take a turn with a monk, you can sort of gauge your success to hype up your turn. You can be like, okay, well, I hit that guy. Well, time for Stunning Fist. And you get to make those choices on the fly. And and I am just never not empowered as a monk. I can run fast. I can run up walls. I can run across water. I can heal myself. And I'm just sort of, not to say that I like to play those kinds of characters, but I can really feel effective. I can sort of feel like a one-man army. And I also feel that as monks have their power creep has good feedback because it happens sort of more quickly than other classes do. So you get access to what feels like very OP abilities really early on. And they do sort of level out when you get to higher levels. But the thing is, at that point, you have everything you need and you have so many options that it stays fresh. From a mechanic standpoint, that's why I like monks. I've never not have had fun playing as a monk. I've never played with a monk in my party where I didn't think that the monk was cool and I wasn't constantly impressed by the things they were able to pull off. I think that sort of this like isolationist, sort of like I'm searching for my own truth sort of RP perspective is also just gives you a lot of options for where you want to go. Because it's really about your character's personal journey towards their own sense of enlightenment and like oneness with who they are as a person.
I will say that Stunning Strike is so
OP
and attainable, and you get it so early.
You get it so
and
fast.
It benefits literally everyone in the group. You know, as
it's
opposed
so
to
deliciously
some of the bard
broken.
things,
Yeah.
Some of the bard or cleric, you know, you cast guiding bolt. It's only the next person who attacks, right?
And they keep
you cast a inspiration. It only affects the one person you cast it on. You have limitations on it, and stun locking.
And like even as monks go on, they just keep getting more support that allows you to build them in different ways. Like I'm playing with someone who's playing an archer monk, and it's crazy good. It's crazy good.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for it. I do think that much like the argument to be made of like the expectation placed on being a bard, you could say the same thing, being a bard or being a paladin, the same thing is kind of placed very squarely on the shoulders of monk. And the way to be the most satisfied with monk is to imagine like what fantasy monk is, rather than comparing yourself to like, I want to be Jackie Chan, or like I want to be like those things. You can want to be those things, it's great, but if you can open your mind up to like more opportunities to engage with what all the like what your key is about and what your study and your monastic tradition is, I think it can open you up to a lot of cool things. I played a shadow monk for a really long time and got to cast spells and be like a little bit of a teleporty rogue who was like kind of into God. Was kind of how it felt. And even down to when I first I'm really obsessed with either trying to draw myself or hiring other people to draw my characters when I create them, because it helps me kind of center myself with a visual to go off of. And when I said monk, a lot of people when they first drew her with like traditional, very Eastern influence, and I was like, no, draw this person as like somebody who needs to get around quickly, has some loose clothing, but lives in a fantasy context. And that started helping me just really rethink about what a monk is and what a monk can. What a monk wants, what a monk needs.
I also love the concept of like having a character who's like just someone who has dedicated themselves to like the monastic traditions. It's just like someone who has dedicated themselves to a field of study with the intent to master, right? And so when you go out on your adventure, when your adventure starts in earnest, like you have been studying, like this is your moment. And it's unlike a school or choosing a god, you know what I mean? Like you are not in service of a thing. You are just like, this is what you've studied to do, and you're now going to go out there and you're going to be the best at it you can be.
Well, I do think that there is, I think it. When we say monastic tradition, I'm going to give you some pushback, because a monastery is inherently religious. So it's important that people understand that they can kind of investigate what that means to them, rather than accept that there has to be some sort of deity.
I guess I've always sort of just like a long time ago, I've sort of rejected that is necessarily the flavor of it. That like the study of this art is, yeah, I mean, I guess your art is your religion, right?
Yeah.
But not, yeah, I guess.
Wow, sounds kind of like a monk is a little bit of bard.
No, not at all.
Interesting.
It doesn't sound like that at all. I don't know how you made that connection. Because one is a good class and one is a bad class. It's fine.
One is a favorite and one is a flop.
Yeah, exactly. We like let the audience decide.
Well, I've only played one monk, but I've played like 5 bards, so let me
It's
decide.
because you had to try 5 times in order to like see if it was any good, and you're like, maybe the next time I'll be able to make a good bard.
No, I just have a lot of ideas. No one else is right. Bard has a lot of action economy. How dare you? It's true. There is the fact that both with monk and bard, there are a lot of times where you sit there and you're like, well, I do have options for bonus actions as opposed to other classes where you're like, I guess my bonus action can go fuck itself because I don't have anything I can do here. Rules is written. So yeah, there are those things. I think monks also can fall into the trap of like, where do you want those skill points to go? How do they interact with the world and the party? I think they're the subclasses. Some of them are great and some of them are just not. They seem like they're gonna be great, and then they just
Don't fall
actually...
trap to the elemental sub. What is it?
Yeah,
elemental.
Way of the 4 Elements.
Path, Way of the 4 Elements.
Yeah, the Avatar
Yeah.
path is sadly the lamest
You're not going to
path.
be the avatar. It won't work out.
Yeah. You wish
You
would
want to be the avatar, but in the end,
I will say that Lee, who was here just last week talking with us, has been playing Way of the 4 Elements for the entire game and never once has complained. And I have to say that I think it's because she places 0 expectation on it.
that's fair.
And it's
100%.
all flavor to her.
Yeah, I remember her saying she really liked it, and I remember also
Yeah.
thinking, "Huh,
But how?
I really did not." But like, that's
Yeah.
the beauty. Everyone has different opinions, except for this particular conversation, because you're wrong for the drama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that there is often a thing where you get with every class is you get lots of cool abilities, but when it comes to combat anyway, you're honestly like, since this game is not really built around like taking advantage of elemental weaknesses and rules as written,
Yeah.
damage is just what is the biggest number,
Yeah.
right? And so because of that, like Way of the 4 Elements, it's like, oh, I'm going to take this cool thing, I'm going to be the avatar. And it's like, yeah, okay, so I took 1 spell for each element, but the fire one does the most damage, so there's literally no reason I would do
No
anything.
reason I would ever
Why
use
would
the
I ever
others.
use the other ones
Yeah.
unless I just wanted to say that I threw a rock at him instead of punch
Yeah.
fire at him? Like this, it's a
Yeah.
drag.
I think, it also depends on what you're expected to do within your party, like the role that you're expected to play.
Yeah.
And since Lee's Way of 4 Elements exists within a party where we have a Werewolf Ranger who is built to destroy worlds and do a lot of damage at range, and me as a Paladin who is just at this point, I have magical items that give me almost unlimited spell slots, so I am just pumping 5 smites into everything I even hit or breathe on. Like, it's not as important for her to feel like she's doing 70 damage a round as it is for her to feel like, ooh, I can mold earth here to make this easier, or like I could do something cool with a water effect here. And I think it puts less pressure on her to have to deliver the numerical values that sometimes D&D demands. So that's also a difference, because if you go in thinking I'm going to be a monk and therefore I'm going to be a striker, and you pick Way of the 4 Elements, you're going to have a bad day, I think. Yeah. And we did discuss before this that we weren't going to choose Ranger because it's the thing that everybody says is their least favorite. We'll give it an honorable mention and say that everybody thinks it's the least favorite. In the original book, Beast Mastery was woefully underpowered compared to everything else, even though if I were a ranger, of course I'd want an animal companion. What do you think this is? Like, why wouldn't I choose that?
It's true. It's the coolest one, but the lamest one in practice.
It's so, yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, Drake Warden is cool. I really enjoy, God, what's the portal one?
That's new. I don't know that one.
Yeah. I'll look it up in a second, but there's one where you're like the guardian of the like gates between planes
Horizon
and worlds.
Walker?
Horizon Walker. And Gloomstalker,
Gloomstalker
is also
is
really
busted,
cool.
yeah.
So there are a lot of ways to be cool. It's kind of like they were like, no, Rangers are cool, I swear,
But
and wrote a bunch of stuff.
It's funny because like the subclasses are cool, but then like literally just like the base abilities that you get as a ranger, you just kind of throw away. Like,
yeah, well, I think Ranger is often, it's like, well, you get these bonuses, but if the person who's playing the Ranger forgets to apply them, then you never see how powerful a Ranger can be as a striker.
But also, it's like, it's too subjective. That's the problem. Is because like, okay, we're gonna play Storm King's Thunder. All right, I'm gonna play a Ranger, and my favorite enemy's Giants. Well, okay. So
yeah,
and I'm gonna take what Colossus Striker or whatever that other thing is called. So okay, so you're gonna do the most damage because we're only gonna be fighting giants because I just told you that. And
yeah.
But if we're playing a campaign where we're gonna fight a plethora of stuff, then you're gonna underperform all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have something like Storm King's Thunder or Tomb of Annihilation, or if you're in Barovia with Strahd, or because of any other, cool Domains of Dread campaign you're in, like, you kind of do get a sense when you set up a campaign that way, if it's not a homebrew, right? You know where you're going, you know what you need, and I don't think that's necessarily bad, but it does make a difference if you're playing in those campaigns. I think you can set yourself up as a ranger to be, choosing humanoids, though, ain't bad.
No, I know, but
you're gonna use it.
Yeah, once again, I hate that you basically have to just like toggle what your character is good at, and then that's that. And if it's not that, then you I don't like any.
But you get more stuff to get good at when you get.
I guess so. I just don't
levels.
like any class that's all like there are in these situations these class features don't exist.
I think the only thing that I'm butthurt about when it comes to Ranger is just the fact that Animal Companion is not really an option except for like you said in chat, Drake Warden, which is newer. And Unearthed Arcana and whatnot. Like, that's cool. It's super cool. I've always wanted to be like a Dragon Slayer cool ass Ranger chick. It just pales in comparison to all the bards I could possibly be. So this is the end of the show where we talk about who's right, who's wrong.
Who tells your
and
story?
Who can get the fuck out. Yeah, who tells your story?
The bard does it.
Bard tells your story. Amazing. Air 5, incredible. So chat, here's what we're gonna do, and then we'll cover this, I guess. Who wants to talk about maybe other classes that were honorable mentions for favorites while I set up a cool poll in chat for people?
Yeah, we did ask chat to contribute what their personal flops were, but because we did not do a reveal, we didn't specifically ask for your personal favorites.
Yeah, tell us your favorites.
I think Warlock is possibly one of my other favorites.
No, sir. You got one.
Oh, I'm sorry. She said honorable mention.
And your one was Monk. Okay, you may proceed to talk about Warlock as honorable mention, but you cannot say it is one of your favorites.
Okay,
Drama.
Fair. Okay, that's fair. As an honorable mention asterisk, I like Warlocks because I think they similarly have lots of interesting and cool options. They're better at specializing in like certain spells. I mean, granted, like Necromancer, obviously, but I like the fact that like you can be a pet class or you can be a melee class. It's like odd that a Warlock, which is sort of billed as being like a witchy caster, can do so many things so well and have such like dense flavor. Like I like how dense the flavor of a Warlock is.
Rich.
Yeah, it's rich and flavorful.
Thick. 1 second. I'm going to let you guys know that first we're going to be voting for Floppiest Flop. So of the 3 flops we presented, you will be voting for your Floppiest Flop. Go. If you hover over the chat on Twitch, so those of you who are over on YouTube, come on over, hang out. But if you hover over chat, you'll see the poll, and you have 1 minute until the poll ends to tell us your Floppiest Flop on that list. All right, continue.
I don't see the poll.
If you hover over...
Oh.
It's at the top.
Yeah, it's at the top of chat.
Yeah, hit the little drop down and you vote.
No!
Drama!
I think it's called
Wow.
a bandwagon. Is actually what I think it's called.
Guys, this is not okay. You come into my house. You're voting Artificer as your honorable mention flop? Or no, your favorite. I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm sorry. Shaitan, I'm sorry. I got a little mad.
Actually,
Mama's fine now.
I forgot that Artificers existed, but honestly, I can't really pick that because I have not played them enough. I've not seen them played enough to really make up my mind about them.
Now, it pains me to announce that chat has nominated the Bard as the floppiest flop.
Emily is so happy about it.
Thank you.
Emily,
I will accept
I don't
flowers.
like your bardic ability, frankly, to sway the masses in whatever direction you just look, because you wanted to be bombastic.
drama.
Maybe she's just a better bard. It's fine. I'm sorry. Oh wait, I'm not. Drama.
Drama. Hashtag drama. All right.
Listen, Anne, everyone knows you are the head bard in charge, and therefore no one
I
else is allowed to be a
management.
bard, so it automatically
So-
is the worst
Yeah,
class.
but like 0 times anything is still 0 though. So like,
All right. We've got, okay, fabulous favorites. We've got Cleric. We've got, what was the other one? We've got Monk. And we've got Bard. And if you all don't vote for Bard this time, I'll kill you. In fact, I'm going to give you 2 whole minutes to do it. All right. It's up. Vote. What else? We heard, what do we like about Artificers? I feel like Artificers have so many options, maybe even too many options at the start. They can be kind of intimidating.
yeah, I sadly don't know enough about them really. Like I haven't seen them in play enough.
So you can create magical items.
Yeah. No, I mean,
You can cast spells like as well as anybody else. You're as smart as a wizard. You can be in melee.
I do like the concept of creating a robot animal companion.
Yes, and you have.
It's better than a
you know-
ranger animal companion.
Yeah, it literally is though. Like the best thing I ever had was when I was doing the show at the Cauldron here in New York City, which is like kind of like a Harry Peter themed bar experience.
Harry Peter?
Harry Peter, is that the
Harry
sequel?
Peter?
Is that
the
like
Harry-
non-copyright
Yeah,
infringing?
that's not-
I
Copyright
said
infringing.
Harry Potter. Did it sound like Harry
You
Peter?
did not
Go back
say.
to the tape.
Yeah, someone
Go
clip
back,
it.
return to the tape.
Yeah. Can we go back to the tape?
I hate this.
We love
Guys,
you.
vote and vote my way or kill you. You know what? We just don't like to say Harry Peter in this household because we hate J.K. Rowling.
That's fair.
That's fair.
So that's why I did it on
That's who
purpose
he
for
is now.
Sherzies. Guys, vote for Bard. Thank you. God, people aren't dumb. I knew it.
Also, Harry Peter is like, that's my porn name. Like that.
Harry Peter is my boy. Wow, guys, there is a tie breaking out. There are moments left, and it is Cleric versus Bard in Fabulous Favorite. Somebody's got to vote for Bard immediately, or I'm gonna lose it.
I mean, I love how you're like just worried about winning, but like Monk didn't get a single vote. So like,
Monk
I
is a
mean-
cool freaking class.
It is. It's just not a Fabulous
it's
Favorite.
also weird
and
that
you
it
know
didn't get a
that's
single
okay.
vote considering I had a vote.
Yeah, well, that's whose problem is
Why
that?
didn't you vote?
It's because I had to tie it up for the drama.
Fuck you, Chris! No, that means now that we know that there's violence inheriting the system, we know that last
And
vote for
you
Cleric
voted. You
isn't
voted
right.
for your own thing.
Yeah, so why didn't you vote for your own thing?
Because it's a democracy. I can vote however.
Listen. How can it be? How can Bard be both the flop and the favorite? This doesn't
That's
make
what I'm
any
saying.
sense.
It's because
Tear the
I'm
system
the
down.
head bard in charge. And what I say goes because of my force of personality. This is shocking. I think we're going to need to have a tiebreaker. Guys,
Oh boy.
even though we both... Okay, listen, we're doing it over again. Tiebreaker.
Y'all better vote with your
boy.
hearts and not with your whatever gland controls fear. I like know what else I guys summation of even though bards are a flawed class, we love them anyways.
Yeah.
Vote with your hearts, not with your amygdala.
Yeah, there it is. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's
All right.
someone in chat who knows the answer to that question.
Here we go. What is actually the best class, Bard or Cleric, I guess?
This is skewing the results, I think. Like, this
Is it?
there's bias in this poll.
It's
Bias!
True, it's true.
Visible bias.
Whoa! 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 What is...
That's what you get. That's honestly what you get.
Oh,
How dare you, whoever
Oh,
just voted?
oh.
I think it was Anna just voted.
No, I haven't voted yet, but I will now.
Oh, okay. Emily, did you vote?
I did.
I need another vote.
That's not how this works.
No, you don't. That's not how that works.
It is how it works.
can't-
It's my channel.
You can't just ask someone to find more votes.
I don't like this,
Yeah.
what you've compared me to. I don't like that. So I'm going to shut up now.
Mm-hmm.
I am upset, though, and I feel that this is unfair. But I will accept the terms of this election.
Yeah.
Drama.
Please do. Makes you the better person, honestly.
I just... All right, hold on. I'm going to call Emily. Hello? Is this Emily Floyd?
Yes, hello. You've reached the campaign office of Emily Floyd.
I just wanted to call and congratulate you. I am conceding the election to you. Cleric, I guess, is in fact the most fabulous favorite
Thank you.
class
Thank
in D&D, I guess.
It's very big of you to call the the election hasn't technically been called yet, but I recognize that the
You're
tide
winning
is
a
in my favor.
landslide.
Yes.
Yeah. It was close, but you know, the people have spoken. Even if I want them to shut up, it's not really my call. There it is, Cleric.
It's been called.
I guess.
Let's-
It's been called for Cleric,
Let's
I
move
guess.
forward in making this a better world for
Yeah.
all those at the table.
We'll reach across the aisle, the subclass or the support class aisle, and I promise to work with you to build a better Faerun.
Yeah, that sounds great. I have to go make a speech to my constituents now. Thank you. We did it, everyone! Cleric, I guess. Cleric, I guess. Cleric, I guess. That's you. You did this.
I quit.
I got nothing. I got 2% of the vote, so like that's pretty cool. You know, I think it's important.
Good old green
It's
party
fine.
class.
I'm back. I just needed time to grieve. Know-It-All is offering to overthrow the Galactic Senate in a heartbeat and start banning.
Know-It-All,
people with
I am the
I-
Senate.
I don't
It's-
appreciate. I don't appreciate how against me you are, considering that you came into this Know-It-All Sci Guy declaring your position against Anne. I believe the exact
Yeah.
words were whatever Anne does.
Says,
I actually don't remember.
It was I'll fight you.
I think it. I
Yeah.
think it was quote. I am a contrarian. I think that was the direct quote.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true.
It was a red
Know-It-All was
herring.
It was a
the
red
red
herring.
herring.
Ah, yes.
Lose Your Own Adventure. Welcome. Thank you so much for that follow. I'm so glad you joined us today. But yeah, this was really fun.
Welcome.
Honestly, I
you know,
enjoyed
I'm
it.
so happy to have you all here. My
Yeah.
my
No.
my
You're the best
clear
class.
little
This
clerics.
is not. You're clear little clerics.
No.
Clerical clerics.
Maybe cavalier clerics.
They don't have a cavalier class though.
Yeah,
Subclass.
but cavalier also
I know,
just
I
means
know.
like high and mighty.
Sure, we'll workshop it. We'll get back to you.
What else would it be? Clear-minded clerics? Clambering clerics?
Clairvoyant clerics.
Clairvoyant?
Listen, my brain is spinning.
Clear clerics? Clear...
It'll be my first
Claritin
course of
clear
action.
clerics. My first course of action will be naming my fans of my class. Okay, well guys, this was really fun. Thank you so much. As usual, we record Around the Hearth here live every single week. We talk about different tabletop RPG topics. If you enjoyed this, it's likely that you'll enjoy other programs on this channel. I'm here streaming tabletop RPG centric content Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And on Wednesdays, I'm over on the YouTube where I make tabletop gaming videos. So please join us over there and do me a little subscribble. The VOD for this will be over there. So if you missed the beginning parts for flops or you wanted to check something out that you missed, you can go back and do that there. And the folks on my Patreon, the Hearthsinger Games Patreon, have exclusive access to these recordings as a podcast. So you can get exclusive access to that, and you will have a chance to join games and play D&D with me, Anne Richmond, aka Hearthsinger, the head bard in charge. If I don't say so, even though the bards are apparently the worst class in the fucking world.
No.
Just second place.
Listen, everyone,
And also last.
it's been an honor. I'm the head cleric in the barracks, Emily. I'll see you all on next week's
That's amazing. Chris, what are you? I'm done being angry. Now I'm excited.
I'm sorry. What?
If I'm the head bard in charge and Emily is the head cleric in the barracks, then what are you? Head monk in the trunk.
Jesus.
head monk in the bunk, if you know what I mean.
Hey, okay.
Oh, shit.
I'm okay with that.
I hate that. Okay, no, it's fine. You can be that. Is that what you want to be?
Sure.
Okay.
For now.
For now. Amazing. Head monk in the bunk. Sergeant cleric in the barracks. That's amazing. Yeah, at best you're a sergeant. No, it's fine. I'll allow it. I think this is great. So yeah, go ahead and check out all of that stuff, and we'll see you next week. We are gonna find somebody to raid. Who can we find to raid? If anybody has any ideas, please let me know. Oh, hey, Chiron, thank you so much for that raid. I didn't see that.
There was a lot happening. There was a lot of drama. A lot of drama.
And dragons. Who's doing
They
it?
got cats. Dungeons and Dragons has cats. I don't know. I pulled it up for 2 seconds and there were cats. But now I have an ad, so I can't tell you.
All right, let's go. This person appears to be doing some planning for D&D. So let's go raid them. This is the DM lair. Let's go see.
I'm
Let's go
telling
tell
you,
them
it's
the
cats.
baby bards.
Enjoy the cats.
Enjoy. It's not cats. I'm getting a dog, everybody. Okay, bye.